The Gildan, New Mexico Bowl is more than a decade of incredible moments on the field. Since 2006, countless memories with family and friends, contributions, donations, and smiles. Working with New Mexico nonprofits, thousands of football fans, visiting the land of enchantment, contributing to our state's economy and image. Colorado State and Marshall kick off the Gildan, New Mexico Bowl at 2:30 Saturday, December 16th in Dreamstyle Stadium. Visit GildanNewMexicoBowl.com or call 505-925-5999. The Gildan, New Mexico Bowl, here for good.
Doesn't get any better than this.
Folks, there's no other way but to be all in. Either he's Lord of all or he is not Lord at all. And you can experience the real and authentic, true life change that only God can provide to humanity. See, when we truly encounter Jesus and purpose to know him and follow his teachings, hashtag life change will occur.
Well, I'm going to the frontier, walking to the cashier, order up a root beer and a number one. Cover it with green stuff, one scoop is not enough. Find a booth is real tough, back by the Duke. Meet my family, meet my friends in the quirkiest restaurant I have ever been. All of Albuquerque's favorite spot, it's the Frontier Restaurant.
The Frontier Restaurant is a proud supporter of Proview Sports Network.
Ladera Golf Course. Opened in 1980, Ladera features a full 18 including spacious greens, a large driving range, roomy practice putting greens, and 4 large lakes. Surrounding Ladera, beautiful views of the Sandia Mountains to the east and volcanoes to the west. Ladera is a challenging city-owned course with the longest playing yardage of any other city courses. For weekend tee times and more information, call 505-836-4449.
Garden Sorts Team Sales is a proud supporter of Proview Sports Network.
Get into the game. Garden Schwartz Team Sales features fine products and apparel from Wilson, Schutt Sports, Speedline, and Russell Athletics. We offer custom embroidery and screen printing services for all of your school or club needs, from team uniforms to school leather jackets. Specializing in all sports and serving all communities, from big schools to small schools, from up north to down south, or all points in between. Garden Schwartz Team Sales. For great prices, friendly staff, and quality products, call Garden Schwartz Team Sales today at 1-800-880-7767. That's 1-800-880-7767. Since 1939, Garden Schwartz Team Sales is a proud supporter of New Mexico youth athletics.
The Sports Desk is proudly presented by Car Crafters. It's like it never happened.
And welcome everybody to the Sports Desk. I'm Scott Galletti. It's great to be back here on ProView Comcast Channel 26 and ProView Networks. And we are joined here by Steve Davis for the first segment. Adam Beal will join us in the last part of the show. Alden Iowani, our fine director, he's back in the saddle again, and we're glad to be back once again. And Steve, I'll bring you in. A lot of stuff has gone on since the last time we did a show together, and the championship games. Man, what a ride on all these championship games.
Before we get into that, I just want to let everybody know that we're almost up and running. We still.
I wanted you to do that, so yeah.
Okay, so basically we're all we've been out 3 weeks. The transformer blew up, and it took it was Thanksgiving, and I want to thank the city and all the moving parts that got it done. And today's our first day we've got heat in here, and still we're not at full capacity. Our encoders are down, so we're still playing. We can play our live stuff, but this is one of the if it's going to happen, it just seems like this is kind of like a a down week for APS. There's no games going on, so we'll be back rolling. I think we'll be up on our schedule. Anybody that's looking at the TV guide, it'll be up and current, I do believe, by Monday of next week. So be patient is what I'm saying. We're on top of it. Our guys are on top of it. You know, it's been a misfortune that you know, we did get the Joe Armillo finals up, and then we're going to be rebroadcasting those games all next week. So we didn't miss anything. So anybody, so we're going to have really next week. You're going to really have a good week of. Everything, you know, over the last all the things that we're just talking about the last 3 weeks. So it's going back to the first week that we did, you know, 10 basketball games, girls and boys. They'll be being played, and then also the Joe Armillo deal, the cheer and dance. The Friday night will be re-aired. Also the you know. Just all the things that we did. We didn't stop production. We just didn't have a platform to send it out.
A television platform. It was still online, and everything got up, and everything was all good. And man, what great games! We'll talk about before we let you go later, Steve, the Joe Armillo Classic, because that was a fun tournament, both on the boys and the girls side. But let's talk a little bit about some of these football games that happened. 6A, Manzano runs the table. You had a great game. Ed Nunez did it up in Las Vegas, Robertson and Ruidoso, and what a score fest that was. And, you know, the list goes on and on.
Well, you know, the La Cueva game was, you know, basically something that, you know, I kind of even alluded to on the sports desk with you and Ed. And Ed Nunez was basically, you know, the second time they played, it was going to be a different game. It was going to be close. I was, you know, storylines, summer coming in, you know, getting to start, you know, got approved or got counseled or got approved, got the doctor's approval.
A week before he was going to have surgery.
Right. And they just basically said, you know, it's hurt. You might as well. It ain't gonna change any. It's not gonna hurt getting hurt any worse. And then just see the defensive performance that you know, which I questioned. You know, what Coach Beck and the defensive coordinator did at La Cueva was, you know, was astounding. Okay, and then, you know, and there was some, you know, questionable calls that could have gone for, you know, for both teams.
Right.
And I mean, touchdown and the punt that was got in the end zone. So it was, but it turned out, and you know, and I think, you know, really, you know, you look at it, the better team won. So.
Yeah, one of the things that I do want to talk about is the crowd. You've been here longer than I have, obviously, so you've probably seen bigger crowds at Wilson Stadium, or as big a crowd, but that is the biggest crowd and the most into crowd, and that's just the people in the stands that I was seeing. And then when you went down towards the concession stand, there were people everywhere. It was unbelievable. People were lining the gates 2.5 hours before the game. It was the way it should be, and it was a fun atmosphere.
Well, the only game that comes in my mind is when Las Cruces and El Dorado.
Yeah, and I wasn't at that game. I watched the game on Channel 26, but you were there.
And the only difference, and this is not a, you know, is the El Dorado band was there, and that band is by far, you know, is as far as excitement and passion, and it just brings so much to the game, and that doesn't knock Manzano's deal, but I'm just saying, that was you asked that question, what was the big deal? I was like, the band was so, you know, impacted, and I was so into this game that I wasn't even paying attention to the crowd, you know, it was like, you know, I was like, you know, we had a few other things I was concerned about going on, but I don't know that I was. When we did the Las Cruces El Dorado game, it was like high, a lot of energy, and there's still, and you know, there was still about 1,000. I don't think I've ever seen so many people outside the stadium that was watching the game.
Yeah, there were people watching through the gates. It was like a Texas-like scene. It was really cool because there were people outside, but then they put temporary stands inside, like the little baseball-like grandstands that were in the end zone. And they had people lining around the track. So it was, to me, it reminded me of some of the California games that I used to be at, and my school was at, and had covered and all that good stuff. And it was just, I mean, and the people were in the game the entire game. Nobody left early. It was loud.
Well, they couldn't leave early because the game was, you know, was so
Right.
close, and you know, and you know, just both teams, you know, played their hearts out.
Yeah.
I mean, it was still, you know, and I think the biggest thing I got out of the whole thing was I ran into McLean after the game at Chili's, and what a great young man he is. He came up and said, he goes, you know, we gave it our best, and I said, you don't have to be, you know, you guys shouldn't be down. I mean, you guys just, you know, that team was a great team. Right. You know, we talked about for a long time, and you guys gave them everything that you had, and you just came up short.
Yeah, it came up to a couple of big plays. Jordan Bird with one, Andrew Erickson with the other, and those plays put the game away. But the defense of La Cueva, one thing that we haven't talked about, Steve, is the hitting in that game. And you were at the first game when they played each other, and you were at a lot of the La Cueva games, and I'd done a few La Cueva games. But, you know, when you put those two teams together, the hits on both sides, it was like we were watching a college game.
Well, you know, just in the last couple of games, did Manzano get credit for their defense? Okay, and if you looked at the whole year of Manzano's defense, it wasn't their offense that was winning a lot of those games. It was their defense that was putting them offense in great positions to get.
And that's one of the things that Coach Adcox talked about too. And you're right. They go down to Las Cruces and they shut down a really potent offense in Las Cruces, and then obviously they beat La Cueva a second time.
Well, it was like I said, if you didn't get to see it, you can go to the NFHS channel and rewatch all the things we just talked about and see the broadcast of a great game.
Well, you know, we were all there, but at the very beginning of the game when Dominic Bramante and Adam are on the field, you could see the crowd in the background. You could see the excitement. That was one of those broadcasts where all you had to do was look at one picture and know it was a big game.
Well, I tell you, you know what? The whole weekend was big games. Okay, so it was a great weekend for the state of New Mexico, the MMAA, for the attendance and the good things they do.
Now let's talk a little bit about that Joe Armillo tournament, Steve, and you know, Las Cruces. You know, our friend William Benjamin comes to town, and you know, he's always a treat to hang around with.
Well, yeah, and he didn't bring no assistants. He brought his son. I mean, he's a one-man show, so he does it all. He does everything. I mean, but it's neat to see his team. But I tell you, what impressed me more was Sandia and Coach Brazard's team, and I tell you what, you talk about, you know, comparing La Cueva and Manzano in the football game. Now you're talking, this game was like Las Cruces #1, and then out of nowhere it seems like, you know, Sandia came. It looked like, you know, they lost, you know, due to some internal situations. They set 2 of their players, and so you just thought that Sandia was going to get, you know, was going to get beat by Hope. Right. And you didn't. If you look, you know, if we would have penciled the bracket out with the team's records, we would have probably had Hope and Sandia, and Hope and Las Cruces in the finals. But I tell you, I was very impressed with Sandia. Even though they lost that game, I think they grew up. And they're a team. This year is going to be so. Right, and I really believe that Coach Benjamin and his team, they're on the road. They had, you know, three days of being on the road, and they had to really grind it out to win that game.
You know, the thing about Sandia, and I did their first game at Rio Rancho, and that was to many people an upset when they beat Rio Rancho on the road. It was one of those situations, and you and I believe, did the game last year when Sandia beat Hope in the Metro tournament. And it was one of those situations where they're feisty. They've got good shooters. They got a decent inside presence, but they're one of those teams that moves the ball around so well. And that's the thing, you know, that they're very comparable to Las Cruces. Las Cruces, if you notice in that, you know, in that tournament, Steve, they moved the ball around so well and were very patient. Well, Sandia shows that same patience, but they've got, in my opinion, they got the better outside shooters.
Well, I tell you
Las
what.
Cruces will pound you inside. Sandia can hit it from the outside.
And we talk about, you know, offense and defense. And it seems like there's parallel with football. And what I saw out of Las Cruces, they can play a half-court game or they can get up and down.
They can play anything, yeah.
And I tell you what, their half-court defense, it was, you know, I think the score was, at one time was 25-24 or 22-20. It was 23-22 at halftime, and I think only 6 points were scored in the third quarter. But it wasn't like it was a dull game.
Right.
Okay, it was like, you know, these guys were getting after it, and you could see that as of right now, the Las Cruces is probably a more polished team, and I mean polished just means that their guys know the roles and they've been playing so long. They're senior, you know. There's a lot of experience with that. Where Sandia, I think they grew up a lot.
Yes.
I can't wait to see them in the Metro tournament.
He's Steve Davis. I'm Scott Colletti. We will take a break here. More on the Sports Desk coming up. But first, the Dream Style Top 10 Plays of the Week.
Deep, he's got Sosa! Sosa turns on the Jets. It's a foot race. Touchdown, Cardinals!
At the Warrior 18-yard line. Ortiz looks to the left side, caught. Touchdown! Touchdown, 18-yard.
He's got York all by himself. Terry York.
Down a little bit more. Ortiz 40, 45, 50. One man to beat. RJ Ortiz is going to score for Las Vegas. Robertson.
Erickson's going to get it on a sweep. Erickson's got a ton of speed. Look out. Andrew Erickson shot out of a cannon. Touchdown.
Takes a snap, he's gonna keep it, rolling out to the right side. Bowen making a beeline for the corner. Did he get in? Yes!
Second and goal, the 5-yard line. Brandon Stewart rolling to his right. Still rolling, throws. God, touchdown.
So first and 10 of the low snap, and Bird's going to quarterback keep it. It's a design play. Look out, Bird! He's loose! Jordan Bird down the sideline, and he's in. Touchdown.
The Gillette Gildan, New Mexico Bowl is more than a decade of incredible moments on the field. Since 2006, countless memories with family and friends, contributions, donations, and smiles. Working with New Mexico nonprofits, thousands of football fans visiting the land of enchantment, contributing to our state's economy and image. Colorado State and Marshall kick off the Gildan, New Mexico Bowl at 2:30 Saturday, December 16th in Dream Style Stadium. Visit GildanNewMexicoBowl.com or call 505-925-5999. The Gildan, New Mexico Bowl, here for good.
Doesn't get any better than this.
Don't forget, every Proview Network sporting event is on sale at our DVD store. Go to www.ProviewNetworks.com to buy your DVD today.
And welcome back here to the Sports Desk. I'm Scott Coletti. Our thanks to Steve Javis joining us here in the first segment. He was supposed to be here in the second segment, but we found a special guest here. And his name is none other than Hall of Fame coach Jim Holtzman. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing fine. Glad you found me walking up and down Central. You know, that was great.
Well, you know, accidents happen. We're glad to have you here.
Well, it's nice being here.
Not an accident. It's actually a stroke of luck for me. So, you know, I always enjoy having you on this show. So when I saw you, I had to get you on.
Well, it's nice being here.
Well, let's talk about some of the stuff that you've been doing recently.
Well, you know, I've been very involved with the Albuquerque High School, and they had this big outfit last night. And they broke into their new commons area, and it's the most beautiful athletic facility I think I've seen in years for high schools. And people.
And you've seen a lot of them too, so.
Yeah, and this has been one though, and it's got trophy cases all over the place, and it's really a well done thing. I just was so pleased that I could go down there and see it, and they had a great crowd there of alumni, students, and the whole thing, you know, demonstrating the thing, so it was really nice.
Well, how much pride is at that school when it comes to things like that? You mentioned over 1,000 people on a Tuesday night, and it's a year in the making. They were working on it last year. The basketball teams were playing while the construction was going on.
Right.
It was a little bit of a hassle for fans to get in.
That's right.
But they lived through it because they knew this day was coming.
Well, you know, that school goes back to 1892. You and I were kids then. And when you go back that far, there's an awful lot of tradition.
Right.
Great people. There's people who have been state senators and, you know, national senators. There's all kinds of people that have been through that school. And the tradition of it just seems to move right along. And it's really seeing that someplace along the line, people are keeping traditions.
Speaking of traditions, what are some of the things that have been going on the high school level lately that you've enjoyed?
Well, you know, I think seeing the kids that have not had an opportunity to participate in championship games. You know, we had a lot of kids in New Mexico football this year, teams that were unknown, we'll call it, and they've moved up, and what an opportunity for a young man, young lady to get up there and participate at another level. especially at a level that is #1.
Exactly. What are some of the things that you're working on now?
Well, for me personally, well, I go over and watch the Dallas Cowboys, and I watch the Texas Rangers, and I'm trying to figure out in the American...
Those teams have always been a passion for you, haven't they? Where did that passion begin? Because it seems like every time I talk to you, off or on the air, you bring those teams up, and I've never asked you about that.
Well, my baseball background goes back further than anything I've ever done. And I managed in semi-pro baseball, coached American Legion baseball, and scouted for the Cleveland Indians. And you put all that together, and you find an interest. And you really notice the interest between how it was then and how it is now.
Right.
You know, you're happy to get a contract many years ago, minor leagues. And now you can see guys making $1 million just to sign their name. And, then the change of scenery there from one ball club to another, like from Miami to New York. That's a big change of scenery. And I just wonder how the ball players manipulate themselves to work into that type of a thing. That's a change.
So what brings you here?
Well,
what are you working on here?
Well, I come down here because Steve Davis is here, you know, and seeing the former Lobo and how business is going, talking with you, enjoying myself, and find out what's going on next.
Well, I thought you were working on something, so
yeah,
that's why I asked. It's a secret, huh?
This is fun. You guys get paid for this.
Yeah, yeah, it is fun. What are some of the biggest memories that you have?
Oh boy, you know, there's a lot of them. You know,
I ask this because I know a lot of it isn't about championship trophies. It's about, like you said, the kids that you worked with.
I'll tell you one. I was in Pittsburgh, and I had a trial with the Pirates. And I looked out at that Pirate outfield, and Ralph Kiner was in left field, home run king of the National League. And then in center field was Wally Westlake. Wally had hit 25 home runs that year, and National League Player, Rookie of the Year, Gus Bell, was playing in right side. I mean, you know, that's something. And Honus Wagner, Hall of Fame, walking down the baseline. Here I am sitting, think I'm, you know, this is pretty good. And that's when I first realized that I will never be in that outfield with that ball club. And start realization that a kid comes from New Mexico, you want to play ball, you want to do all these things, but all of a sudden it comes to the realization that you're not going to be there. You better go back to school.
Right. That's a pretty good story. You know, any thoughts on the basketball season at hand and the New Mexico Bowl this week?
Well, you know, the New Mexico Bowl, I hope it comes through all right. You know, when you're bringing in teams from out of Albuquerque, out of New Mexico, it's a little bit difficult. You have to promote it. We'll see how that goes. I hope it works.
Well, Colorado State has a tradition of bringing people to the New Mexico Bowl. The biggest question mark is Marshall, and it's kind of strange to say that because Marshall has a great fan base, but they're so doggone far away.
Where is it?
That's the problem.
Yeah.
It's in West Virginia.
That's a tough one to handle.
That's a long travel.
Yeah, I think that, you know, Colorado State brings in the people. And we wish that the local people would get behind that because it's a Mountain West team.
Right.
So that's one of the things on that, and we look forward to it and hope that it comes through. It makes good for New Mexico. Hey, I was watching TV just the other day, and they were advertising the Mexico Bowl on national TV.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. Well, it is pretty cool that it comes here. ESPN always makes it look really good on TV, and it doesn't just make the game look good, it makes the city look good.
It makes everybody look good. There's only one way to go, up.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost like a Department of Tourism advertisement for the city of Albuquerque.
You just hope that you have good weather.
Yeah. Well, this year it's supposed to be good weather.
Well, I'll take your word on that.
Supposed to be in the 50s, which, you know, I've been at a couple of those where it was in the 20s.
Yeah, we've seen some bad ones.
Yeah. So in closing, you know, I want to thank you so much for coming and joining us, and keep up the great work and best of luck.
Well, I'm glad you picked me up off the street out there. That's a pretty good deal.
Yeah, there you go. He's Jim Holzman, legendary coach here in the state of New Mexico at Albuquerque High School. We will take a break and come back with more on the Sports Desk.
The Gildan New Mexico Bowl is more than a decade of incredible moments on the field. Since 2006, countless memories with family and friends, contributions, donations, and smiles, working with New Mexico nonprofits, thousands of football fans, visiting the land of enchantment, contributing to our state's economy and image. Colorado State and Marshall kick off the Gildan New Mexico Bowl at 2:30 Saturday, December 16th in Dream Style Stadium. Visit GildanNewMexicoBowl.com or call 505-925-5999. The Gildan New Mexico Bowl, here for good.
Doesn't get any better than this.
Don't sacrifice quality of flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, green and red chili breakfast burritos, and Frontier Cinnabons. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenpride@abq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs, proud supporter of Proview Sports Network.
The Barley Room, proud sponsor of Proview Networks for over 9 years, is pleased to introduce Black Iron Catering. From weddings and family reunions to birthdays and office parties, Black Iron Catering is perfect for any event. Contact Jamie at 505-459-8259 and book your event today. Black Iron Catering. Let us bring our kitchen to you.
When I train for American Ninja Warrior, I schedule regular workouts to stay in shape. To keep my car in Ninja Tough shape, I head to a Napa Auto Care Center for regular maintenance and genuine Napa Auto parts, like brakes and batteries. I trust my Napa Auto Care Center for quality parts and quality service. And with the 24-month, 24,000-mile nationwide warranty, I drive away with peace of mind every time. Visit AutoCareNM.com to find a location near you.
VR Junkies is a virtual reality arcade. We specialize in all things VR, from the simple phone-based headsets to cutting-edge full-body motion systems. Check us out at the Coronado Mall. VR Junkies.
Car Crafters, proud supporter of Proview Sports Network.
Are you sure we're supposed to be doing this?
Don't worry, I've watched him do it 1,000 times. Come on, what's the worst that can happen?
No! Bad dog!
Hi, welcome to Car Crafters. What happened? Don't worry, we'll make it like it never happened.
Car Crafters, it's like it never happened.
Christy Mae's Restaurant is locally owned and operated with a family-friendly atmosphere. Their array of homemade comfort food is just like your mom's. From homemade chicken pot pie to their famous chicken salad on a croissant, Christy Mae's even offers lunch catering. Christy Mae's Restaurant is located at 1400 San Pedro Drive, Northeast. They offer drive-in, carry-out, and catering. Open Monday through Saturday, 10:30 a.m. to 8 p.m. Terry Cosper Insurance Agency is a proud partner with Proview Networks and a proud supporter of New Mexico High School athletics. Terry's been a local farmer's agent for over 20 years for auto, home, life, and business insurance. Just like high school sports are important, so are teen drivers. For more information, call Terry or one of his licensed staff members at 898-5556. Quotes are available for you.
Is this my car?
State Farm knows that for every one of those moments,
This is ridiculous!
there's one of these.
Is this my car? What? This is ridiculous.
This can't be happening!
This can't be happening.
Oh, it's happening, sweetheart.
Oh, it's happening, sweetheart.
Shut up.
Shut up!
That's why State Farm is there, with car insurance for when things go wrong, but also here with car loans to help life go right. State Farm.
Talk to State Farm agent Marty Size or Michelle Rudolph in Albuquerque today.
Turbo Threads is a proud sponsor of Proview Networks.
Gecko's Bar and Tapas, a proud supporter of Proview Networks. It's been a fan favorite spot for food lovers and sports fans. With not one, but two great locations, including outdoor patio. An atmosphere you won't want to miss. Geckos, off Academy and in Nob Hill.
For 55 years, people have bought trucks from Tillery in Los Lunas. We have a great selection of vehicles, the quality service department, and some of the best deals in the state. But most importantly, we found people prefer to buy trucks from people who actually drive trucks.
Tillery is a proud supporter of Proview Sports Network. Locally owned and operated, located in Los Lunas, right off I-25, exit 203.
And welcome back here to the Sports Desk. I'm Scott Galletti. Thanks again to Steve Davis joining us in the first segment and legendary coach Jim Holtzman in the second. We are now joined by Adam Deal. And Adam, we have a lot to talk about. First off, I want your intake. We talked to Steve about this, about the 6A championship game, since this is the first time that we've been on the air to talk about it. You and I both did that game. And it'll be a memory that I'll remember for a long time, that game.
Oh, well, I mean, I'm sure it's been said 1,000 times, but it was the first, Albuquerque matchup ever, right? And so
which doesn't seem right, but it is the way it is.
And the atmosphere was gorgeous. Okay, it was a beautiful day, a little bit chilly like it should on football, and it was just perfect weather, no wind, and everything about it was great. You had a sea of purple and a sea of silver and navy blue on one side, and people outside of the gates that didn't get in that were peeking in on the game, and so it was just fun, really fun atmosphere for a football game and a good football game. I thought high scoring. I thought late pull away by Monzano. And I was wrong. I think Van Tate knocked out the score 100% because we did a bunch of predictions. Right. The guys in the sports
I was
media,
pretty far off,
puts together, right? And I was way off. I got the right winner, but Van Tate I think knocked it out and said 14-7, which I was like, no way. And that was the score. It was just a defensive battle. There wasn't a ton of offense, but there was big offensive plays, which made it fun. And
there were big offensive plays from the first play of the game, where LaCueva completes about a 30-yard pass. I think it was 33-yard pass to Wilkinson, and that kind of set the tone for both teams. They kind of had big play here, big stop there. It was kind of back and forth.
Coach Adcock says at the beginning of the game to us, he says, look, we got to shut down number 7. That's who we've got to shut down. And what happens? First play from scrimmage, number 7, Reese Wilkinson makes his way down the sideline.
And he almost broke it.
Yeah, he did. I'll tell you, it was a good game. The guts. This has to be said even more. I haven't spent enough time talking about it. Dylan Summer, torn ACL, right? He tears his ACL.
You had mentioned he was supposed to have surgery the next week.
Next week. So he's already had surgery, I believe. Don't quote me on that. I think he's already had surgery. Dylan Summer, ACL torn against El Dorado, comes back, plays, and then also DeAndre Williams, he had I think it was a fractured tibia, and he played. And so, I mean, the guts of those kids for LaCueva, that's incredible. Have you heard of a quarterback playing an ACL tear?
No. Especially now when surgery was reportedly a week later. I think Dominic and I watched a lot of the replay. I think Dominic was spot on when he brought up the Willis Reed analogy. And I'm old enough to be little when that was happening, and I remember Willis Reed against the Lakers, who was my team, coming out on the floor in Game 7, and everyone expected him to be out because he needed surgery, and it was the same kind of thing. Even hobbled, he was able to pass his way to almost victory, because the unfortunate part about what happened in that game was the fact that he got knocked out of the game on a good sack. And all it took was one hit to knock him out of the game. But they had good protection up until that fourth quarter.
It was the end of the game.
Up until that fourth quarter. They had great protection. And what he was doing, he was barely going back 2 steps and throwing right away.
I mean, it's smart by the staff.
But they made the plays for it, though, because it wasn't just him heaving it downfield. He had a guy wide open. It was set plays for that situation, which I thought, the offensive staff did a great job just manipulating those plays for him. He's unbelievable. But, I mean, for him to game plan for a hobbled quarterback, hey, we're going to give you not even 2 seconds to throw the ball, and here – you know, Reese, you go here, you go here, you go here, and they had guys open the entire game on split second.
He had 2 interceptions, and I still think he played really well.
Yeah,
I do. So
under the circumstances, it was unbelievable.
There was 2 plays in that game, Scott, that you're going to look at too, and you're going to say, okay, well that could be a turning point. I've talked to a lot of La Cueva faithful and some of the dads and parents, and they think that maybe they got robbed because of the stretch play where Lloydell appears to be in the end zone before he fumbles. It's a bang play. If you slow it down and replay like I had the benefit of.
See, I didn't have the replay, but I watched the replay on the broadcast, and to me it looked like it was on it. I said it on the radio broadcast. I said from the dead eye, it looked like he put the ball, broke the plane, and then the ball came loose.
And that's what happened. But let me tell you, I'm not going to blame the refs or anything.
No, you can't, because it's bang, and you don't have the benefit of replay.
But I will say this, though. Manzano also got a break that went against him on a botched fumble or a botched punt that ended up being a touchdown for Manzano. It got called back. They said that it touched Blankenship as he's running by. To me, the trajectory of the ball doesn't look like it changes.
Right.
And so I think Manzano and La Cueva both got breaks.
Yeah, they both got breaks,
and so
definitely.
I think the game did justice, to be honest with you.
What stands out in this season for you? As many games as you and I have done, what stands out for you?
I think big playmakers like Jordan Byrd stand out to me, deservingly so. When you're the best player in the state, athletically, you deserve to win state and you deserve to get the honors, and he is getting all the honors, and he did win. And so that's going to stand out to me. I mean, it's just fun to watch a kid grow up and you know he's going to be great and actually get it done. He took his team undefeated, and he's unquestionably the leader of that team. His stats weren't mind-boggling, by the way, this year, Jordan Byrd, if you look at his stats, because Manzano is a complete team, and they use people like Ivory Sod and Andrew Erickson, and so they have other weapons, but him just completing the whole season, I think the way he did, is justice. That's what you want to see. He's your best player, and the best honors, the highest point of the season winning, and that's what happened.
And I'll tell you why his stats weren't what they have been in the past is because he became a true quarterback. And that's one of the things at the beginning of the year that Chad Adcox talked about, how hard Jordan worked, how he worked with him to become a drop-back quarterback, a more of a traditional quarterback where he could be the overall player as opposed to just snap the ball to him and him run. And it was pretty amazing watching him grow into a quarterback, although at San Diego State he's supposed to be a wide receiver with his speed. But it's amazing what kind of athlete this kid is, because you put him into a spot, he was a wide receiver, he's been a running back, now he's been a quarterback, and last year he was almost like a wildcat. This year he was an actual quarterback.
Yeah, no, and they ran most of the time, right? But yes, can he drop back and chuck it around? Yeah, he only threw 2 interceptions, threw for 1,200 yards, 10 touchdowns. So, he had a productive year passing the ball, I would say. Definitely, obviously, he's more of a threat when he runs it. He had 21 touchdowns on the ground rushing, and I think he could add more. I just don't. He sat out a lot of fourth quarters. I think Manzano played diverse on purpose so that a team like La Cueva couldn't just focus in on a Jordan Byrd, and so that's why they ended up winning the whole thing.
It's kind of funny, as good of a game or as great of a game that we had, I kind of wish that I was up in Las Vegas for that Robertson
shootout to the very end.
Robertson,
5 seconds
Ruidoso.
left. Ruidoso scores with 5 seconds left to win that game.
I watched that game also because Ed Nunez, our partner here on the sports desk, he did that game, and I was curious on how that game went, and I'll tell you what, it was just offensive play after offensive play, and it was it was for a couple of teams that boast defenses, it's almost like they forgot to play it that day.
I also want to check out Eunice's stadium. Have you seen that thing? That place looks awesome. Brand new stadium. Josh Brown, director of Proview Sports Network, got to go out there and check it out. Looked really cool. So, Championship Saturday is always fun, and of course Artesia, they get their 30th. That's just rich in tradition there, so congratulations to them.
Yeah, it's kind of a shame that Belen went down there. They gave it their all, but, it showed how good Artesia is. And Artesia, to me, should be in 6A.
Yeah, right. It's almost like we talk about the Hope Christian in basketball needs to be playing up in class. Well, so does
Right.
Artesia.
Right.
And look, they did really good against, like, Cleveland, for example, came down to the last possession, and Cleveland was a possession away from being in the state championship. So yeah, Artesia.
And you did that great game at Los Lunas where it was kind of the same thing, where they snagged a victory out of the jaws of defeat.
Our favorite looking game. It just looked really good with Los Lunas and Artesia. The crowd was great, and everybody's hospitality down in Los Lunas was awesome too. And that's what I'll remember this year too, Scott, is all the the places we go, and we finally got to do some cool games in Los Lunas, which was great. I think give us a little more diversity here at Proview Sports Network, which was fun as well.
Right. Well, I'll tell you one game that really looked good, and I mentioned this to Steve, is when you and Dominic Bramante were on the field for the pregame. You see the La Cueva stands, and they weren't even fully packed at that point. You see the La Cueva stands in the background, you knew that you were at a big game.
Yeah, it was fun. And just
and how about all the people? That was the first time. Yeah, the tailgating. That was the first time that I've ever been to a game at Wilson Stadium and didn't get a hot dog because the lines were so long. There were people everywhere in that commons area the entire game.
Yeah, it was a good atmosphere. And a lot of people, including myself, said, why don't you put it at New Senda Community Stadium? Well, in hindsight, maybe it's not as good of an atmosphere. I don't know. Maybe the same crowd shows up, maybe not. But
right.
It was a great atmosphere, and Wilson Stadium, I think, got its biggest audience it's ever had.
We're going to take a break, come back with one more segment. We're going to go over some hoops here in a moment on the Sports Desk.
Locally loved restaurants like Farina Pizzeria, Farina Alto, and the Artichoke Cafe are the perfect venue for your next event. Farina Alto has traditional Italian food, plus handcrafted cocktails in a beautiful Northeast Heights location. Farina Pizzeria with a downtown vibe, amazing affordable wines, and local beer. And the Artichoke Cafe has set the standard for casual fine dining since 1989. Visit our family of restaurants and see what fine dining is all about.
The Gildan New Mexico Bowl is more than a decade of incredible moments on the field. Since 2006, countless memories with family and friends, contributions, donations, and smiles. Working with New Mexico nonprofits, thousands of football fans visiting the land of enchantment, contributing to our state's economy and image. Colorado State and Marshall kick off the Gildan New Mexico Bowl at 2:30 Saturday, December 16th in Dream Style Stadium. Visit GildanNewMexicoBowl.com or call 505-925-5999. The Gildan New Mexico Bowl, here for good.
Doesn't get any better than this.
Sadie's is a proud supporter of New Mexico high school sports and athletics, and we here at Proview Networks would like to thank Sadie's for their continued support in helping us bring you all of your New Mexico high school sports coverage.
Don't forget, every Proview Network sporting event is on sale at our DVD store. Go to www.ProviewNetworks.com to buy your DVD today.
Looking for some exhilarating fun? It's at All Out Zone. All Out Zone showcases Nerf dart tag games from team elimination battles to human versus zombies, pitting two teams against each other in fun, organized chaos with trained referees, music, and a full arsenal of Nerf blasters. You need team parties, birthday parties. We can customize the party to fit your needs. Visit us at the Coronado Mall. Give us a call, 505-444-6964. All Out Zone. Ladera Golf Course. Open in 1980, Ladera features a full 18 including spacious greens, a large driving range, roomy practice putting greens, and 4 large lakes. Surrounding Ladera, beautiful views of the Sandia Mountains to the east and volcanoes to the west. Ladera is a challenging city-owned course with the longest playing yardage of any other city courses. For weekend tee times and more information, call 505-836-4449.
The Sports Desk is proudly presented by Car Crafters. It's like it never happened.
Final segment of the Sports Desk here. Scott Galletti joined by Adam Deal. And Adam, we're going to talk a little bit about basketball right now. The Joe Armillo Classic has come and gone. Always a great tournament. They always treat all of us very, very well. And we got to see a very good Las Cruces team and an equally as good team, maybe, Sandia.
I didn't leave the hospitality for 3 days. All right, people were making fun of me. This is not a joke.
So Sebastian Noel put it best. I said, "How you doing?" He said, "I'm in a food coma."
Yeah, and people made fun of me, and I didn't care. So I love it. That's why I love these hoop tournaments, is because of these hospitality rooms are great. No, the atmosphere is fun, and it was good basketball. I was shocked because I know Sandia is good, but they're missing a couple of starters because of disciplinary issues.
Right.
And I don't know what those are, and Alvin Broussard didn't want to talk about that, which I get it. But Sandia's zone kind of affected Las Cruces. Now, Las Cruces, if you don't know, they're hands down favorites to win the state championship. Well, I wouldn't say hands down. They're favorites to win the state championship. They return every starter
to me, they're hands down.
Yeah, and they
simply
were in the
because
finals.
they do have everyone back.
Yeah, but it's not going to be easy.
No.
And they're undefeated, so I figured they would kind of handle Sandia. Well, they didn't. Sandia led up until the half and midway through the third quarter, and then finally Las Cruces kind of took over, but still struggled to close it out. A lengthy zone by Sandia made Las Cruces struggle, but I think William Benjamin appreciated the game because nobody's really shown him zone like that, and so he thought that his team handled themselves nicely. They didn't turn the ball over much, and they were able to be efficient down the stretch in the fourth quarter with R.J. Brown, who's an Adams State signee and going to play next level, and then they've got Marcus Collins, a tiny point guard that doesn't play tiny, great defender, and so Las Cruces is really good, Scott, and I think it was a tough game against Sandia. Sandia is good, but Las Cruces, they're the team to look at right now.
When you have a mixture of inside-outside players with size inside like Las Cruces does, you tend to go to that inside, and maybe you don't have the overall team, but they have the overall team. Steve Davis put it best. They can play the run and gun style, they can play the slow down style, and equally as well. And they showed a good bit of signs of that a year ago, but this year, in my opinion, even more so.
Mature, veteran team. You don't want to hear those kind of cliches, but it's the truth. This team has grown up.
Well, they played like they're seasoned.
They were in the pit as a bunch of juniors and sophomores last year, and they were,
And they were mad after they left the pit.
Yes, they were, and they were a quarter away from winning the state championship game. And so all those kids are back, and so it matters. It does, the experience. And then William Benjamin, I think, does a great job. They can run a flex offense. They can run motion. They can run different kind of things. They like to set a lot of high screens to set up their shooting guards, which they can shoot. So they're just going to be a tough out. Now, you look at the rest of the field, though, there are teams that could definitely do it. And so the field, I think, is pretty deep.
Yeah, it really is this year especially. How about Volcano Vista? They lose their top player, and they're still playing great basketball.
Well, and that's the thing is David Cormier became beast mode and an animal in March, right? And in 4 games, because they had to play that first round game, right, and then the 3 games in the pit. He was absolutely fantastic, and Volcano wins the state championship. But I think all of us sat around and said, well, that's mainly because of Cormier. No, there's some pieces around. Everybody else returns. And let me tell you something, Josh Parmenter is a fantastic senior forward now.
Yeah, I liked his inside presence last year when I first saw him.
Yeah, and he was a scrappy type player last year, but he's really found a niche in a game, and he can score, right? And so this is going to be a good team. Jelante Gray is an unbelievable leader.
I forgot he was
outside.
back.
Yeah, and so there's so many different pieces now. This is a good team, Volcano Vista. I promise, when it's all said and done, Volcano Vista is going to have a word in who wins this state championship. They're very good. They haven't started their season particularly well. I think they're 3-3 to start their season. They got blown out by El Dorado, who's another dangerous team. El Dorado's returning a ton from last year. They have inside-outside game. Cameron Valencia is now a junior doing really well. Mike Minojo can shoot it, and then Jalen Domino Lovato, one of the better point guards that no one's talking about. El Dorado, a dangerous team.
He's a guy who's become an inside-outside presence too.
Yeah, he can shoot
because
it,
he's not afraid to drive to the basket.
Absolutely. And Scott, there's so many teams. Albuquerque High School. Nobody's talking about Albuquerque High School. I feel like I'm the only one that's talking about Albuquerque High School. They are good. They just beat a really
That's one of the big-time teams I haven't seen yet.
Paulo Duran. They just beat Paulo Duran of El Paso in overtime, and that's a good El Paso team.
Yes, it is.
And that's a great win for Coach Ron Garcia. And Marlon Cunningham is legit. He's a year bigger and a year better, and they've got good guards around him. So Albuquerque High School, in my opinion, is a top 4 team.
Let's roll through some of the coaches' polls. I know you do your own poll each and every week, Adam, but let's roll through some of the coaches' polls. We'll start with 3A girls. We'll roll through these as I know we're running low on time here, but let's take a look at some of the polls. And there you got Tucumcari number 1, Tehachapi, Eunice, Tularosa, Texaco.
And I'll be honest, I just don't know enough to differ what, is big in that top 5.
You sound like all of us, actually.
Right. I'm just going to straight off admit it to you, okay?
Yeah, well, Ed and I and Steve, we usually say the same thing, too, but we want to give them love, so we put them up there.
Sure.
4A girls basketball, we're a little more familiar with 4A, as we have Hope Christian in the mix. So 4A, we will switch and see Portales at number 1, Robertson, Moriarty, Pewaukee, and Shiprock. You got Hope Christian down at number 7.
Portales is very good, and so is Moriarty. I've heard some good things about Robertson. Shiprock lost a lot from last year. I don't know if they're going to be back. This could be Portales' year.
Absolutely. Let's look at 5A. And in 5A on the girls, you got Los Lunas, followed by Gallup, Bloomfield, Kirtland, and St. Pius. Well, we've seen a lot of Los Lunas from last year, and they're very, very good.
No, they are amazing. Not very good. They're amazing. They're really good. They could probably win 6A.
They got a pretty good coach, too.
No, yes, absolutely they do. Zeller and Gallup always looms around, but I heard Bloomfield is good, too. They return a lot, and they were pesky. They beat Los Lunas last year, so Bloomfield will be in the mix as well.
6A girls. And you got Cibola on top, Lori Mabry's team, followed by Hobbs, Las Cruces, Carlsbad, and Rio Rancho. And I'll tell you what, from my first glimpse at Las Cruces, they look very, very good.
The Cruces is the real deal. Sarah Abney is awesome. She came on here at Proview Networks, and so we appreciate her. And Matt Abney does a great job coaching. They're just rolling right now. They're winning, and they're winning easily. And so Las Cruces looks good. Cibola and Hobbs, guess what? Proview Sports Network, that's live. 1 versus 2, 5:30 on a doubleheader on Friday. We'll have it for you here on Comcast 26. Great matchup, great game. West Mesa, they're a little bit undervalued there, Scott, and that's a slap in the face because they hammered Rio Rancho, and Rio Rancho's ranked above them.
Yeah, that always doesn't make sense, but then again, it's the coaches that do that.
No, I get it. I get it.
Let's go to boys now real quickly. In 3A, we will look at Pecos, followed by Texaco, Santa Rosa, Estancia, and Cuba. And let's go to 4A on the coaches poll. And in 4A, we're going to see Hope Christian. No surprise there. Although
Bernalillo's good, okay? And this is the year. If you're going to catch Hope Christian, this is the year. Portales is going to be pretty good. I just feel like every other team lost a lot of talent. Portales lost a lot from last year. We know West Las Vegas lost a lot.
You saw their best player playing college at the Pit about a month ago.
Yeah, and so I just don't know. Portales maybe slipped up, but I think a lot of teams slipped up in 4A, and so everyone's still chasing Hope, no doubt.
Let's go to 5A now, and in 5A, well, look at that, Los Lunas again.
Fun. This is going to be fun. Los Lunas is good. Espanola Valley is great. Capital's really good. They won the Capital Invitational and beat Hobbs at home. Roswell's good, and so is Gallup. I think any one of those 5 teams can win it. I think your Final Four in the Pit, Scott, is going to look like it should. You're going to have monster crowds. These are really, really good teams.
Well, you're always going to have monster crowds, but it's who you're going to see.
Well, last year there over the 5A, because there's so many upsets, there wasn't the crowds that we're used to seeing in the 5A level. So
yeah, you got a point there.
Normal.
Let's go to 6A now. And
by the way, Los Lunas, they beat Cleveland, right? And so that's big for them.
Yes, it is. And you got Las Cruces, Cleveland, Atrisco, El Dorado, and Albuquerque, all very, very good teams. And, Las Cruces, obviously, Adam, they passed the eye test with that inside-outside presence. A lot of people are talking about Cleveland. Atrisco, they went in and won that and played that great game against Volcano Vista at the beginning of the year. And they're playing 3-3,
well. And so they're okay, right? And I still think they're undervalued. It's fine. It's early.
Well, they won a game at El Dorado that nobody thought they were going to win. They were gritty in that game, and it's one of those up and down teams.
Yeah, I still think. Oh, you're talking about Atrisco. I'm sorry. I thought you said Volcano. Okay, Atrisco. Yeah, but they only have 1 loss, and yes. So they are where they should be. I think El Dorado's where they should be. I think Albuquerque's in that mix where they should be. Cleveland, Scott, Jalen Munn, Jaden Phillips, Amir Mohammed. They just got Turner on a transfer. They're loaded. Cleveland is absolutely loaded. Oñate only has 1 loss, by the way. Ricky Lujan, now a sophomore, and Tony Avilas, he's very good. So don't, just because they have a coach that changed, Oñate is going to be good. And somebody that you got to keep an eye on. Everyone's going to call me biased. Rio Rancho, I'm telling you, they're good. They just won the Artesia tournament. Rio Rancho is going to find their way once it comes down to it.
I saw them lose against Sandia, who, by the way, is a very good shooting team from the outside, so that will keep them in the games that maybe they're not supposed to be in. When they beat Rio Rancho, that was one of them. But Rio Rancho, they've got pieces. They had some new pieces. Football season had just ended, so they got guys back. So once they get into gel mode, I know Coach Salata is going to have a good team.
And they're starting to gel. I can't wait to see them in their home tournament that they're going to host after Christmas that we'll have on Proview Networks, and then the Metro, obviously, as well.
So those are your polls, and any surprises so far here in the early going?
No, I kind of figured some teams might start slow, even after a good win. Volcano started a little bit slow. I think they'll be fine. Las Cruces is where I think they were going to be. Cleveland is. I thought Rio Rancho started slower than I thought, but all their football players are starting to get acclimated. David Patterson is playing real well, so I think Rio Rancho is going to be very good. I don't think there's any surprise yet. It is so early, Scott. I cannot wait to see some games this weekend. For example, Volcano Vista is going to play host to Albuquerque High School. I think that's a very good game as well. It's right here on Proview Sports Network, and so those things interest me.
And finally, to add on to that, what's coming up?
Yeah, that's it. So I mean, we got some big hoops this weekend. You've got Hobbs coming into town, Cibola boys and girls, and then we've got that game for you, Albuquerque High School and Volcano. So really big matchups.
Well, Adam, I want to thank you for sitting in here today. Thanks to Steve Davis as well.
Anytime.
Ed Nunez will be back next week. And for Alden Iowani, I'm Scott Galletti. See you next week on the Sports Desk.